So you guys saw previous videos I did talking about hot women don't go out anymore. I had a lot of people agree with me. I had some pickup artists coping, trying to say that there's still hot women out there. I had a bunch of reactions to it. But one of the things I don't know if I did a good enough job of is explaining, where do you meet attractive women now that they're not going out anymore? So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restate the problem again. I'm going to explain to you why attractive women simply are not going out anymore. If anybody wants to debate me on this, you can. I'm going to embarrass you. And then we're going to go over where you can meet these attractive women now. This isn't much of a debate if you're dealing with somebody who's like in their late 30s, early 40s, because they remember what dating was like before social media. So they know hot women aren't going out anymore. You don't have to convince them. It's younger guys who really have just gotten, almost Stockholm syndrome. They've gotten used to this horrible behavior, going to nightclubs where there's 3 guys for every girl. They're so used to it that they don't even know how bad it is. It used to be incredible. So let me go over the first part. First thing is this. I'm 48 years old. I've been going out pretty significantly since probably I was 21 years old. So this has been 1998. And then I was living in Austin, Texas, and I would go out in Austin, Texas, and anybody here, if you can talk to them about what Austin, Texas was like 30 years ago, it was beautiful women. You'd walk up and down the street. There wasn't a cell phone to be seen. Nobody knew what a cell phone was. There were no flip phones. There was no social media. There were dating websites, but there weren't dating apps because there were no smartphones, so there were no apps. You would go out and you'd meet beautiful women everywhere. You would go to certain venues that were a little bit harder to get into, nightclubs that were harder to get into, and real talk, there'd be 2, 3, 4 girls for every guy. There was no bottle service back then. You'd be on the dance floor and there would be stunningly beautiful women. It's almost like, Grandpa, tell me the story about Jack and the Beanstalk. It's almost like some of you guys who are younger, you'll never believe this was real. You'll absolutely think, no, dude, this is just cope. Think about it, like, have you ever seen videos of the Playboy Mansion or videos of like Bulgarians parties or stuff like that? It wasn't quite that good, but it was really amazing, like how you would go out on a regular basis. If you could get into some of the harder to get into nightclubs in Los Angeles, say 2004, 2006, somewhere in that area, you would just see beautiful women at these venues all the time. And again, before 2005, there is no MySpace. And then before 2011, around that time, there is no Instagram. So back then, there were tons of beautiful women that went out. Then when MySpace and Instagram come out, what you start to see is slowly there becomes a little bit of a decline. And the reason why there's that decline, the first reason why we started decline was the idea of the social media influencer. The influencer, what it did was it caused for, and we're talking about micro influencers, medium level influencers, whatever. What it did is it caused there to be an ability for women to not have to go out anymore to get validation. So I'll give you an example. In 1995, if you're a beautiful woman, like you look like Pamela Anderson, you're just incredibly beautiful. If you want people to see that you're attractive, and listen, everybody wants some level of validation, but women for their attractiveness, a lot of times, especially when they're younger, want some validation for how good they look. In order for people to actually give you that validation, to see how attractive you are, you had to go out. You had to go to the drive-in. You had to go to the movies with your friends. You had to go to the park. You had to go to the drag. You had to go to the club. You had to go to the bar. You had to go to the sock hop. You had to go to the pep rally. Whatever it was, you had to physically be in the presence of these other people in order for that to happen. So if you're a woman and you wanted attention or validation at all, you had to go IRL, in real life, to do so. As the world got more virtual, the bandwidth got higher, and we started to have more and more sedations, different types of social media. We started having, everything from, honestly, even things like Spotify, just ability to watch any movie you want on demand, things like streaming services like Netflix. It just made it to where, just consider, I'm an attractive woman in 1995. I got to go out to get the validation. Now I'm an attractive woman in 2025. I can post a video. I can edit the video. I can edit my photos using FaceApp or Facetune, turn myself objectively from a 4 to like an 8 or a 9, get massive levels of likes, comments, shares, and follows, getting men of high status to leave messages, to leave comments for me, to actually ask me out, to offer to fly me to different places, to offer to take me dinner and take me on trips. If that were to happen after a while, regardless of whether or not the girl actually goes on the trip anywhere, the reality is her necessity for validation is lessened. It really is. It's very similar. Like, you'll notice guys act really horny and creepy all the time, especially, or awkward around women when they don't have attraction from women. They don't have a woman they're regular regularly having sex with. They're in a sexual deficit. Women don't date them. They act like big-eyed, they act desperate, they act needy or whatever. When a guy is having sex all the time, his behavior is very different. He's much more relaxed. You see that. He has a very different, he gets his validation sexually, so he doesn't have to act out. Well, it's the same thing for women. If women are consistently getting validation through social media, through dating apps, and they're getting sedation through things like, streaming services or whatever, streaming music, whatever it is. If they can do all these things virtually, they can even go to workout classes or yoga virtually. If they can do all these things, then they just simply don't need to go out as much. And so that's essentially what happened. In addition to that, what happened was there was a small group of men that women were exposed to. This is the craziest part. Like, if I were to go back 30 years and talk to myself and say, what is the nuttiest thing that social media did? This is what it did. Let's go back to the 1650s. Henry VIII. I want you to consider you're like a pauper. You're a feudal farmer during that time period. I want you to consider what your stimulus was. You saw your wife, maybe your kids, a couple of farm animals, and then maybe once a month you'd go to the town market and sell your wares and see some of the king's men out there, but you've never even seen the king, okay? Now I want you to think of your Henry VIII. You're sleeping with multiple women at the same time. You've killed your wife several times. You're fighting in wars. You're traveling all over the world. So here's Henry VIII, and here's the feudal farmer. Imagine if you lived in a world where people with that differing of status saw the exact same levels of stimulus on social media. Meaning, if you're a woman who actually is fantastically beautiful, you're going to see images of really, really high status men who normally women would have to compete to get their attention. But if you're a woman who's not very attractive, you're going to see the same images of those same men. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like everyone's eating the same level of steak. Everyone's having the same meal. It starts to cheapen it. And what happens then is now you start to have unrealistic expectations as to what you can get. There's a great video of Justin Waller. It was an old interview that he did one time where he talks about, I'll meet a girl and she's like a 4 and I'm like not that attracted to her. She slid into my DMs and I'll have sex with her. But when I have sex with her, she actually thinks that she's on my level. And then what happens is this girl who's a 4 won't settle for anyone who's in her range. She only wants guys who look like me and act like me. That's essentially what happened, but just think of that on a population level. We got to a point where women started seeing all these men that they could almost grasp. They could like a comment and they might get a message back. I have a friend of mine, she's a model. Whenever a team would come in and play the Dodgers, she would find someone who was injured on the road team and she would say, hey, I want to come to the game with some of my friends. I was wondering if I could come out there and meet you or whatever. And the guy, whoever the injured player was, would always leave tickets for her at the box office. This girl was going to Dodger games like constantly, like sitting behind the catcher's box. It was crazy seeing this. But what would happen is now these women have access to the top tier men. One of the best descriptions that I had seen was Andrew Wilson when he said, what social media did is it made average women believe they could compete for the highest tier men. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is to say the men who had the highest levels of perceived status could now look down and pick from which woman they wanted. And if you don't believe this is real, if you think I'm making this up, man, I can show you videos back when I used to go to the Playboy Mansion, the Ignite parties, the Maxim parties, these ridiculously crazy parties that were super hard for guys to get into. You couldn't even buy a ticket to get into some of these parties. And there were so many beautiful women and so few guys. So that's essentially where the problem happened. Social media and dating apps created the ability for women to get validation virtually so they don't have to go out to clubs anymore. That and the fact that nightclubs stopped worrying so much about the actual experience and started worrying way more about how much money they made. When some of these nightclubs first started, one of these venues first started, just imagine you start a nightclub in, let's say, Manhattan in the early 2000s. When you're doing that, a lot of these guys who start nightclubs, they're pretty smart dudes. They could be doing a lot of other things, but they started a nightclub because they do it for the love of the game. A lot of guys, let's just say Jason Strauss or let's just say Dave Grutman, there's a bunch of other jobs these guys could have. Like they're very, very smart individuals, but they chose to get into nightlife because they enjoy nightlife. Now, let's just say later on down the line, some of these nightlife venues are starting to be bought by publicly traded companies or venture capital firms. They're not interested in it, in the fun. They're not interested in the love of the game. They don't understand that if you go to Poppy Steak and you put a table with 12 beautiful women next to a big spender, that he's going to spend more. The penny pinchers, the number crunchers, they don't grasp this concept. You need more women to get guys to spend more money. Because that concept has been lost, what happens is these clubs are now trying to solve for the most money per square foot. The way to solve for most money per square foot is to invite more men and fewer women, since women generally don't pay for drinks. Anyway, so I've explained that whole reason why nightclubs don't have as many women in them and why women do not go out on a regular basis, and you just rarely see incredibly beautiful women out at regular venues. I'm not saying it never happens. Occasionally you'll have a birthday party or something like that, but it's special occasions, and we're going to go over exactly why that is. So some of you guys are like, yes, Michael, you explained all of this in the last video. We know all of this, and we haven't been living under a rock. We go out on a regular basis. Any of you have been going to nightclubs on a regular basis. You know for a fact, if you go stand by the bar, you're by the dance floor, it's so many men and so few women. There's still places where there are a lot of beautiful women, which is on stage at certain nightclubs, or the Marquee Sky Deck at Rise Festival, the Marquee Sky Deck at Electric Daisy Carnival, on stage at Excess. There's still beautiful women at some of these places. But where is it that we're able to find beautiful women right now? Now, some of you might be like, Michael, I don't want to be a club promoter. I want nothing to do with nightlife. I don't want to stay up late, and I don't like those women to begin with. What else can I do to meet amazing women besides, go out and party all the time? And I know you said don't drink, Michael, but like, what else can I do to meet these amazing women? So here's the first secret. The number one thing that I have been made fun of more, chastised more, the number one thing I have been derided for and criticized for over the last 18 years that I've been coaching this is because I was the first guy in this industry, the first. I have videos going back to 2007 where I've been saying this. The best way to meet women is to have a ton of female friends, hundreds of female friends, women that you friend zone that introduce you to more women. There was no one in this space saying this before me. There certainly weren't any pickup artists saying this. There were very few dating coaches talking about this. There were no matchmakers talking about this. There weren't that many content creators. In fact, you don't really have YouTube until 2009. And anyone in the red pill space was diametrically opposed to the idea of men and women being friends. This was the number one reason why I was able to crush it and date women that were so far out of my league and get invited to amazing parties. Let me say this, it's a microcosm, but it is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I recruited girls for a bikini competition at Rehab Pool at the Hard Rock called the Rehab Bikini Invitational. The DJ for the bikini competition was Crystal Hefner, Hugh Hefner's widow. I was the MC for the event, and I was the lead recruiter. Crystal and I became friends, and Crystal started inviting me to the Playboy Mansion. I would go to the Playboy Mansion. I would see every stunning Instagram model you could ever imagine in your whole life, surrounded by nothing but celebrities, because she got me access. You can sit there and talk about, Michael, I don't want to be friends with women. When I am friends with women, I get to host amazing events. I get to host Swimsuit USA. I get to host Maxim parties, the Model Citizen Fund. I get to host so many amazing events because my female teammates, and we're going to use the term female teammates because I know some of you guys, your are clenching and your teeth are grinding whenever I say female friends. No way you could ever be friends with a female. We'll say your female teammates, they're the ones who calibrate you. This is the big one. If I were to put you guys in front of your dream girl, especially since so few of you guys are seeing really beautiful women out in real life anymore, you're just seeing them on Instagram or on a porn website. If I put you in front of your dream girl and she was actually into you, I swear to you, if I could film it, we would laugh our ass off. Your eyes would get big. You'd start qualifying yourself. Your voice would go up like this, and you'd start talking like this whenever you're around her. You'd start explaining to her what a great guy you are. You'd start telling her that she needs to stop talking to this guy or this guy and come hang out with you, and maybe you guys could go out and have dinner together. You would turn into a beta as soon as I put your dream girl in front of you because you're not calibrated towards being around beautiful women. That's what having a ton of female female teammates is able to grant you. The second thing is it generates pre-selection. We'll go over evolutionary attraction triggers like I do in almost every video, but the most powerful of all the evolutionary attraction triggers is mate choice copying in humans, otherwise known as pre-selection. You get pre-selection from women even when you're not sleeping with them. Let me say it a second time. You get pre-selection when women are hanging out with you and they look happy and give approval even when you're not sleeping with them. Let me say this a third time. Let me throw down the gauntlet. If anybody wants to debate me on this, there's tons of studies proving that what I'm saying is correct. The data is conclusive now. You get the bonus of pre-selection, the added attraction bonus with women, even if you're not sleeping with those women. If you're just in an environment where those women feel comfortable around you, other women find you attractive. And there's new data that's out there that shows that it has more of an effect on women who are sexually restrictive, not sexually promiscuous, and more of an effect on younger women over older women. Uh-oh, turns out having female friends was the key to all of it, to getting you into better locations, to calibrating you, to generating pre-selection. And here's the last one, and it's the most magnificent one of them all. This is the one thing that put the coup de grace in cold approach pickup. This is the end of the entire pickup community when I said this. Attractive women. If you ever do meet them in real life, or if you message them, if you have friends, maybe your brother's dating a super hot girl, or you have a friend of yours who knows a really attractive woman, maybe in the relationship, maybe they're not, ask them. Please, I'm begging you, ask them. Where did you meet the last 5 guys you slept with? Or where did you meet the last 5 guys you dated? And they're all gonna tell you the same thing. A girl introduced me to the guy. A girl introduced me, a girl introduced me, a girl introduced me, a girl introduced me, or he slid into my DMs. Women constantly report that it's friends that introduce them to the guys that they end up dating. And it's usually about 80% of the time, female friends. So having female friends, it calibrates you towards being around beautiful women. It generates pre-selection. It gets you invited to better locations. And those women introduce you to more women. It's an unbelievable cheat code. For those of you who are like, Michael, I can't find female friends. I don't know. Every time I talk to girls, they just friend zone me, or they don't want to hang out. They don't want to do anything. So if you want to find out how to make a ton of female friends, if you want to go ahead and skip to that part, go ahead and forget the rest of this video, click the link below, and just get the answers that you need. For the rest of you, stay tuned. The second way for you to meet incredibly beautiful women in 2025, 2026 is for you to have a better offer. There's that great movie called Field of Dreams. Maybe you guys remember it, with Kevin Costner. In the movie, he says, if you build it, they will come. Well, this is the same way when it comes to networking and when it comes to dating. The nightclubs that sit there where you passively go out and wait for women to show up, that doesn't work anymore. Neither do the bars. And a lot of times it doesn't work with restaurants. It doesn't work in these social engagements where you could just meet singles all the time. Instead, you have to create events or get invited to amazing events where there's 3, 4, 5, 6 girls for every guy. If you're trying to get girls to meet up with you in person, there's 3 different attributes that they're going to look at. Number 1, how do they think about you in person? Again, we talked about this in a previous thing about text game not being real. If a woman doesn't like you in person, your text game is not going to be able to fix it. If you're charming, if you have charisma, if you can show access to scarce networks, if you can show pre-selection and social proof in real life when she meets you, then she's far more likely to commit and to come out to whatever the thing is that you invite her to. The second reason why a woman comes out is because how she sees you on social media. I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but if you have an incredible social media, you really don't have to do much. You see celebrities all the time. They just leave like a waving emoji in a girl's message, and then she ends up messaging him back. If your status is high enough, you have to do very little, and women will come out to whatever you invite them to. And the third thing you can do, and this is the secret for those of you who are not that charismatic and don't have a perfect social media right now, the third thing you can do is have a better offer. So for the longest time, one of the things I would do is I would get guest lists. So I would get the guest list for the Playboy Mansion. I would get guest lists for the Maxim party. I would get guest list for Babes in Toyland. I would get guest list for the teatro parties. For all these different events, I would get access to the guest list where I could put girls on that guest list. And in doing so, your offer might be, hey, you're kind of pretty. Can I take you to dinner? My offer would be like, hey, a bunch of my friends and I are going to the Maxim Halloween party next week, wondering if you'd like to come and walk the red carpet. The likelihood of her saying yes to me is 100,000x higher than the likelihood of her saying yes to you, especially if we're talking about a woman who is of unique beauty. In fact, I can't remember the last time I've ever asked a girl that and she said no, like even once. Having a better offer is really, really incredible. By the way, you guys might be saying, well, Michael, I don't have access to those guest lists. Yes, you do. You know me. Anyone who's in Men of Action has access to every single guest list for every single major party anywhere in the entire world. The reason why is because these party promoters, I know all of them, and most of these nightlife groups own most of the nightclubs in this country. If you want to get invited to any, I don't care if it's the Dragon Ball or the Margarita Ball in Dallas. I don't care if it's Model Volleyball in Miami. I don't care if it's Maxim Carnival in Los Angeles. I don't care if it's the Babes in Toyland Super Bowl party in San Francisco. Whatever it is, I can get girls on the guest list. All you got to do is ask me. And guess what? When they get on the guest list, they're going to give you the credit for putting them on the guest list. So you have a better offer. This is a great way for you to get females, really attractive females, to come out and meet you in person. It's not that difficult to do. In fact, it's so easy that you can train a virtual assistant to do it. We train VAs in the Men of Action program. We have a protocol that we do where I just message my virtual assistant. I leave him the message to send and what pictures to send. I give him a list of 4,000 girls that he can go through. By the way, he's also built the list. I go to sleep and 2 days later, 4,000 girls have been messaged and I probably get 200 or 300 to show up. Now I'm going to a party with 200 or 300 girls who know me and were invited by me. At that point, they're all competing for my attention. This isn't dating anymore. While you're going out to a nightclub or a bar and there's 3 guys for every girl, I'm going to an event where there's 7 girls for every guy. And I can prove it. If you have any doubt that what I'm saying is true, just go look at my social media and you'll see numerous times where I'm in different areas where there's so many more girls than guys. And generally it's because I'm the one who invited them all. So I'll teach you how to do that specifically in the Men of Action program, how to write the invites. Most of you guys, when you write invites, it's just like when you text, you write them too long. We would teach you how to fix that. So creating events or getting invited to events. How do you get invited to those events? Refer to the previous point. You have a bunch of female friends. Female friends got me invited to almost every major event I've been to, almost every single one. It was a girl who recommended to the party promoter that they invite me. And if you ask my clients, there's been 4,100 guys who've gone through the program. They'll all tell you the exact same thing. The difference is because they learned from me, they had to skip a bunch of levels. They didn't make all the same mistakes I did. And they were able to get invited to every single major event where there's tons of girls for every guy. Now, you guys might be saying, Michael, I don't want to go to some degenerate event where people are doing drugs in Joshua Tree or going to Coachella or they're going to Art Basel and doing a bunch of cocaine. I don't want to do that. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about breast cancer awareness charities. I'm talking about charities for homeless people. I'm talking about charities for the children of abused and battered women. I'm talking about charities where we raise money for cancer. I talk about charities where we raise money for troops that are overseas. I'm talking about charities where we donate toys to orphanages. Those are the events I'm talking about. The Teddy Ball, Babes in Toyland. There's a ton of different events like this. This is what I build my social life around philanthropy. When I do those philanthropic events and I invite tons of girls to it and I give them an opportunity to get photos on the red carpet, I end up with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of girls showing up to these different events. That's how you do it. It's not as difficult as it sounds, and actually getting the invites out is incredibly quick and automatic if you want to learn how to do it. The third way to meet these women, and boy, I'm going to get a whole lot of flack for this, is cold approach to build a social circle. Yes, not cold approach to show intent, not cold approach to hit on women, not cold approach to try to pull, not cold approach to show man to woman, big energy, intent, like all these pickup artists and mode 1 guys try to teach you. No, cold approach to build a social circle. So what I teach my clients very frequently is when they do cold approach, there's always an offer included. What was the offer? We just went over the offer. It was the events. Most of the time I'm like, hey, do you want to come to this animal rescue charity in 2 weeks? She's like, oh my God, yes. And we exchange social media accounts. I will tell you every single strip club, every single nightclub, every single bar I go to, every time I see a beautiful woman, I go up to her and I'm like, hey, we're doing an animal rescue in a couple of weeks. Wondering if you'd like to come support us rescuing animals. I want you to consider, once again, you go up to a woman who's phenomenally beautiful, has no physical interest in you whatsoever, and you say, hey, I think you're really attractive. I'd like to take you on a date, okay? Just look in the mirror, just consider this. Just think of the most stunning woman you've ever seen, okay? I don't care if it's Sydney Sweeney, Megan Fox, whoever. And you walk up to her and you're like, hey, I think you're really cool. I think you're really pretty, and I'd like to take you on a date. Versus me, I go up to the same girl and be like, hey, we're doing an animal rescue in a couple of weeks, and I was wondering if you'd like to come help us support the downtown dog rescue in Los Angeles. Which do you think a woman is going to respond positively to? This is the difference between you being a complete idiot and you understanding some level of social calibration. My offer is better because I'm doing cold approach to build a social circle. In doing so, I am collecting individuals and I'm putting in my Google spreadsheet with thousands of names on it. And then later on, I'm able to invite them out to these events. I don't invite them, obviously. It's my virtual assistant in Nepal or Iraq who's doing this for me. But that's essentially how this works. And when you do this, it's unbelievable the reaction that you get. You've started a conversation. Oh, this guy's into animal rescue. And then the next thing you do is you introduce that girl you just met to one of your female teammates that you went out with. So now this girl, she meets you, you didn't hit on her, you invited her to an amazing event, and she's looking at this beautiful woman that you're with. For those of you who have ever approached women with other beautiful women, you understand that it's a cheat code. So now whenever you do go out, and on the rare occasions you do see a beautiful woman in whatever location, if you have an invite opener instead of going off and hitting on her, meaning you use cold approach to build a social circle, you're going to have way more luck. Remember, you're never creepy if you're offering value. One of the rules in Men of Action, you're never creepy creepy if you're offering value. This is a reason why really attractive women are never creepy, because their value is their physical attractiveness. But if you're a man and you walk up to a girl and you're like, hey, we're looking for girls to walk the runway for Maxim Carnival, just wondering if you'd be interested in doing that, the girl's never going to say no to that. But then it opens the door for you to ask questions and for you to get to know her, to find commonalities, to get compliance, and to break rapport, which we will get to later on in the Men of Action program. The next technique for meeting beautiful women in person is building a high status network. Now, one of the things we teach in the program is the concept of the language of problem solving. One of the reasons why I get to go to dinner with guys who are 100x more wealthy than me, who get to teach me all these incredible techniques when it comes to running my business, when it comes to being a leader, when it comes to which women to date, when it comes to running my ads, when it comes to training my sales team, all that kind of stuff. The reason why I'm able to hang out with these incredibly talented guys is because I speak the language of problem solving. This was a language I learned when I was in the military. When high status, high earning, extremely successful entrepreneurs have dinner together, if you ever get to listen, you're going to hear that they're constantly solving problems for one another. That's always what the conversation is. If you ever want to hear me and Justin Waller having a conversation, or me and Dan Fleischman, or me and Rollo, or me and whoever you want to pick, any one of these, if I'm with Gregor Gallagher, if I'm with Brandon Carter, if I'm with several of my friends who are Hollywood producers, several of my friends who are hedge fund managers, whenever I'm having dinner with them, when we have conversations, we're always immediately offering value to one another and solving problems for one another. It's not that we, can't relax. It's not that you can't sit there and have fun. It's just that when you're dealing with extremely high achieving individuals, when you're dealing with extremely successful entrepreneurs and dealing with extremely high status people, they just don't have enough slots in their life for everyone to be their friend. They've only got like maybe 6 good friend slots in their life because they're too busy. So who are you going to put in those 6 slots that are good friends? Is it your fat buddy that you went to high school with? Or is it the guy who can actually fix your SEO, find you a really good corporate attorney, the guy who can actually help you run A/B testing on your ads, the guy who can help you find amazing closers for your product, the guy who can help you build your funnel? Which one are you going to be friends with? Those of you who've run a business, you already know the answer to this. So when you learn the language of problem solving, you get invited to everything. The difference between being in MOA and not being in MOA is this. When you're outside of Men of Action, you go to your favorite conference and watch your favorite speakers speak. You pay a bunch of money for a meet and greet afterwards. You get a photo with your favorite influencer, and they treat you like a fanboy. When you're in Men of Action, you get to speak at those different events. You actually get to go backstage for free. Your favorite influencers come up to you and say, yo, man, I love the stuff that you're doing. Or they're like, hey, man, come out to my party, come out to my event, come out to my yacht, come out to my boat. The difference is with most of you guys, you see your favorite influencers and you fanboy over them. If you join my program, you see your favorite influencers and you're able to offer them value, so they invite you to go out. They invite you to speak at their events. They invite you to come on their podcast. That's the difference when you join Men of Action versus not joining it. That's the difference when you understand high status networking versus not understanding high status networking. That's the difference between MOA and not MOA. So that's what I'm trying to teach you. If you're able to level up your network, the other thing that happens is that you start to find that amazingly beautiful women often hang out in some of these arenas. Some of the most exclusive places that these high status guys go to, whether or not it's a members club or you're VIP on stage at a nightclub or whatever, you get invited to these things where, again, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 girls for every guy. But in addition to that, you have this incredible network of high achievers that can help you with your business and you can help them with theirs. It's an unbelievable exchange. So you're building up your financial life and you're building up your knowledge base while also increasing your dating life at the same time. Which leads me to my last step, which is actually the first step. You guys are probably wondering, Michael, how in the world am I supposed to meet these high status dudes? Michael, how do I make these female friends? Michael, how do I get all these people to come to my events? And the answer is you have to fix your Instagram. The answer is now and will be for the foreseeable future to have quality social media. There's no middle class for men when it comes to social media anymore. For women, you can have women, they have average social media accounts and guys will still message them. If you're a man, you either have a beautiful social media account that's beautifully curated. You went to one of our social media boot camps that we have all across the world, or you came to one of the Vegas immersion events and we created a bunch of photos and videos for your social media. You have perfect social media that makes you look relevant, competent. Looks like you have access to scarce resources, locations, and networks. It makes it look like you have humor, charisma, pre-selection, and social proof. When you have that, you are above what's called the status poverty line. And only a few guys are in this arena. Most guys look like absolute dog shit on social media. I would say 95% of you watching, your social media is actually hurting you with women. You don't understand what you're doing. And the thing is, it took me forever. I had to follow some extremely intricate, super nuanced social media creators to finally figure out what it was that created attraction in women. So you might be wondering, like, what are some of the things I need to do? There's 3 main different photo types that you should post. The pre-selection type photo where you have girls with you, the candid photo, these are the most incredible. I will tell you guys right now, you getting 6 terrific candid photos of you hanging out with your friends is worth $50,000 to you. Like, you have no idea how much these photos would change your life if you actually ever use them. They're incredible at changing your perceived status. And third, the lifestyle photos. These are the ones where you're in front of the Grand Canyon, you're at the Valley of Fire, you're in front of the Burj Khalifa, whatever. These are showing that you have a lifestyle where you're traveling, you're an adventurous guy. You might also want to invest in really funny memes, learning how to post incredible stories. Maybe you create reels where you do direct to camera or reaction videos or something to that extent. There's several different avenues you can choose, but having relevant, competent social media is what you use in order to create these events, to meet these female teammates, and to create a huge network. Over the last couple years, we've been interviewing a lot of women about how they meet the guys that they end up going out with. And most of these women, I will tell you, they're under the age of 28, very few tattoos, almost none of them have an OnlyFans. These are younger girls. A lot of them are from pageants, stuff like that. And when we ask them these questions, we always ask them, where did you meet the last few guys that you met? And I told you before, it's usually a friend that introduces them, or it might be through social media. We asked them if they ever use dating apps, and 100% of these girls said that they do not use dating apps. With the exception of one girl, she said that she ended up meeting a guy that she knew from elementary school, and she rekindled with him on a dating app. For the most part, attractive young women do not use dating apps at all. So the next thing we asked them was, as soon as you meet the guy, it's like a female friend introduces you, what is the first thing you do after you meet him? And they all said the same thing. Go out with it.
Obviously his Instagram.
Yeah.
And his tag. I just looked at his post and I looked through his following.
Yeah, I always look through their pictures before I respond.
They said the first thing that I do when I meet a guy is check his Instagram. Don't believe me? Call me a liar. Tell me I'm full of shit. Go to a beautiful woman you know, ask her, when you met the last guy that you started dating, how long did it take for you to check his Instagram? Don't even ask if she checked it. Ask her, how long did it take before you checked it? Guys, having an Instagram that's incomplete or having an Instagram that just looks very low status, it's like if you went to a personal injury attorney and you went to his office, and when you went to his office, you looked over to the wall and there was a wall missing. Like there was no window, nothing, just the wall just led out into a void. And then you go sit on a couch, but there's no couch. You're like sitting on the floor. And then you see some of the tiles on the floor and some of them are missing and it's just exposed concrete. And then his desk only has 2 legs on it. That's what it would look like. If you went to a lawyer's office where his office was incomplete, you would look around and see all these signs and you would interpret all these signs as being low status. You would interpret all these signs as being incompetent. That's what you look like when your social media looks bad. Your social media is like a home office that people come to. You can collect individuals and they can get a snapshot of who you are as a person and determine very quickly whether or not they want to include you in their life. I know there's so many people out there. One of my favorite things in the world, the funniest things I've ever seen, and in fact, you're going to see it in this video, is people going on social media to tell everyone else how they should get off of social media. Watch, just read in the comments. There's going to be like 50 people like this. Get off of social media. It's like, you're on social media telling me to get off of social media. Use some self-awareness. You are the pot calling the kettle black. So frequently I see this. Again, do I want the world to be this way? Of course not. I'm a 48-year-old retired military officer. I don't want to use these fucking apps at all. I'm tired of them. I don't want to do it, but I'm a to what works. I am a slave to whatever works. And if Instagram is not popular in a couple years and some other social media platform takes over, I will drop Instagram so fast it'll make your head spin. I'm only interested in what works. So let me explain to you why it works. Number one, it's infinitely scalable. Meaning if your social media is kind of good versus a guy who's unbelievable at talking to women in person, your social media is 100,000 times more scalable than the guy going off and talking. It's basically the difference between running an ad on Meta versus doing door-to-door sales. Any of you guys have ever done sales, you know what I'm talking about. It's not even close. The second reason is it's able to show high status with low perceived effort. So there's a difference. Like, you want women to be able to discover that you have high status qualities to you. Posting them on social media, they can passively find out about those things. So they meet you and then they go start digging and they find out, instead of you telling them, hi, my name is John and I'm a professional anesthesiologist, she can actually go on your page and she can see a reel where you're giving advice on anesthesiology. Not bragging that you're anesthesiologist, anesthesiologist, but yet showing competency that that's actually what you do, or whatever you do. You're a piano player, whatever thing. You're an incredible paintball shooting pro, you're a hunter, you're a computer scientist, you're a professor at a university. Whatever the thing is that you do, you can have women passively discover that thing. So showing high status with low perceived effort. And the third thing is, man, it generates attraction for you while you sleep. It's unbelievable. It's the difference. Cold approach pickup is basically like going out and doing gig work every day. Every day I got to go to the Home Depot and try to get a job where I'm doing yard work or I'm laying pipe or something like that. Social circle is like having $1 billion in the bank and living off the interest. I don't really have to do anything. My social media created attraction for me while I sleep. My female friends showed their friends my social media profile while I was sleeping. I go to an event where there's 7, 8, 9 girls for every guy. So now I only have to go out like, 2 nights a month? And I have dates lined up for months when I do this. It saves you time. It's way more efficient. And this happens while you sleep. Again, it's almost like you're earning interest off $1 billion. And that's what you're living off of. That's the difference between trying to do it the old fashioned way, go out there, approach, versus using social media, social circle, and high status events in order to bring these women into your life. So if you guys are interested in actually meeting beautiful women on a regular basis, and let's say maybe you don't believe that what I'm saying is true, if you're skeptical, go to moamentoring.com/testimonials and watch hundreds of testimonials of my clients who are able to do this and execute it flawlessly. If you're ready to stop going out to bars and nightclubs, ruining your liver and talking to women that you're not really interested in, or going on dating apps and getting rejected by women that you would never go out with in a million years, if you're tired of doing that and you actually want to make a change, you want to live a lifestyle of abundance where women are chasing you and you're not chasing them, if you're ready to make that change, click the link below and I'll talk to you soon.